Welcome to the Siwike podcast, the only podcast that shares the stuff you didn't know you needed to know about jobs, careers, and life. The Siwike podcast, the stuff I wish I knew earlier.
Hi, everyone, and welcome to the Siwike Stuff I Wish I Knew Earlier podcast. We're here with one of our new guest hosts, Juggling, and he comes to us with a background in development and tech and a bit of entrepreneurship, volunteering, a whole bunch of other stuff, but we'll get into that. So how are you doing today, Jagmeet?
I'm doing good, and thanks for letting me in and part of your show.
Yeah, it's my pleasure. And well, we want to get to know you a little bit more. So I'd love for you to tell us a little bit about what you're doing right now, and then get back to what you're like as a kid. So what are you up to these days?
So right now I'm working as a software engineer for this company called Sienna. My role is totally remote. That's a good part of it. And my whole company actually based in USA. So I'm working in their Ottawa office. I report to the Ottawa office, and I'm in Toronto right now. Yeah, side by side, I cook. I actually started loving cooking and starting, working out, maybe like getting hobbies, to be honest. So that's what I'm doing these days, actually.
Sounds good. And I'd love if you take us back in time and talk to us a little bit about what was Jagmeet like as a kid. So any early fond memories that you would have, and if you can share those, that'd be great.
Me as a kid was like if you basically belongs to the South Indian Asian communities, right? So
Yeah.
I'm a brother, so there's a lot of competition happening. He and me only have like 1 year experience, 1 year age gap. So I was not that good in studies. Like I would say, I was straight up good until 10th standard, and then in 11th I got like 60%. But then I actually got into the computer science, so. In India, what happens is that we go study in schools, right? But there's a thing called after school we have to go to like a tuition classes, something like that, to get a more deeper, idea of clearing tests and everything, right? So, but the area where I was living in, there was no computer science tuitions. I mean, that time we were actually got introduced to C++ languages in our 11th standard. Like my peers, my friends, everyone was going to a tuition. They were scoring good marks, and I was the only one losing on that. And I was like, there's something not happening quite good. So I was like, this is done. So I started studying by myself and like get the book out, like studying it, cramming the stuff, trying it on computer and stuff, and then asking my teacher the doubts and everything. It worked pretty well, and I got interested in this. So the young kid was quite, you could say, curious, but not that much. Just want to find a workaround for the stuff and just get it to like a get it done stage kind of thing. So that's what I was initially trying, but. Yeah, that's and pretty much playing around, enjoying is going with the flow, to be honest. Okay, everyone does the same, I'll do the same. They're getting like, so I have this one of my friend, and he's actually quite senior to me, and he's like, yeah, I did that, I did this studies, and then I chose this college, now I'm here. I follow the same path, like, okay, did that, I'll do the same, and maybe the things happen same for me. So that's what I am in my younger age.
Cool. So it sounds like you weren't always interested in coding. It's not like you were, 5 years old and you always wanted to do the coding. But so what were some of the influences along the way? So that I guess the tutorial school or whatever, is it because like mom or dad was there, or like older brother got into like computers and video games, or like how did that come out?
So my mom and dad was not actually in coding, so they're quite like my dad is an engineer. He works for as a senior section engineer in the Indian Railways. And my mom is a nurse, so totally different backgrounds they are from. I choose engineering because everyone was doing it, so I just choose it like, okay, let's go with the flow. Talking about like, I don't have a crazy interest in the computer science and coding. I just like it being cool, to be honest. So that time it was like, okay, cool, you know the stuff, you know the coding, that's interesting. So let's just pursue it. And to be honest, I actually want to go to the elite schools in India for engineering, but I was not that much good in studies and exams, so I have to settle for the lesser good colleges, like you could say fairly like a Knox C level kind of thing. And yeah, I did just that, and it actually went well. So that's how I end up in computer science, because my rank was such in kind of race that I was only allowed computer science. There was nothing I can go above. If I go above, I would have to choose like electrical and everything. And my father was like, it's quite a boring. You don't get interest in it. and everyone was doing computer science. So like, okay, let's do it. So I was basically the average, take the average thing out of the community that people are doing, and whatever the average community is doing, I'm going to do the same. That was I will tell my undergrad. Yeah.
Okay. And in your, oh, is that until your undergrad or during your undergrad that you were kind of
Until
average?
I get into the undergrad, like until the undergrad. In fact, till like second year, I was just going with the flow. Like whatever puts on my face, I'll start doing it. Like okay, if you're doing that, okay, I'll try that. If you're doing that, I'll try that. I'll start doing it. Getting more into co-curricular activities. But yeah, till my second year, it was just an average of the things what I was doing.
Okay. And then what happened after second year? Did you kind of like rocket ship up and do a whole bunch of other things, or like?
That's quite an interesting. So after second year, I started performing. So I started becoming really interested in dance. Although I've done some dance performances back in India when I was in my school, but like in undergrad, I get more into it. I have my friends who actually had a whole team set up, and we performed, and it was cool. And that was the first time I get on the stage. And that the time I feel like, yo, this is something I could, I will. And then I start more getting events like that. I start engaging with the people by hosting something, some competitions on the stage. I'll make them engage, make them part of the show and everything. So that I feel like this is something I should do. But I also have to see obviously I have to earn money as well, right? I've invested so much in the studies, and I have to get something out from it. And then I came to know like you can actually pursue masters like outside Canada, outside India. And I was like quite interested in like, okay, this is something. And I never lived, I always lived in my house, with my parents. And I just want to have like a good kind of freedom kind of thing, like, okay, let's go out, let's live away from the parents, away from the family. Let me basically I will want to make my decisions and everything, right? And my own space kind of thing. And that is how I start convincing my parents, okay, I have to do this computer science. And the interesting part convincing for the parents was that, so my father was totally against sending me outside the country. But how I convinced him was that so on my TV channel, we have the dinner at 8 p.m. So after every second day, like Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday, like 3 days in a week, we have this show comes up on 8 p.m. It's like more of a chat show in which parents are calling the agents who basically the people help the students to immigrate from as a student from India to different several countries like Australia, Canada, US, UK and stuff. My interest was Canada because I know some people here. I know some of my friends actually went in Canada. So I deliberately put that channel on the TV so that my father could see, and he could see what are the opportunities can be if a person moves there. Right, my father was initially was not convinced, and I remember this. This like one big page of slide which I actually hand wrote it for myself. Is that this is the thing I want to pursue, Dad. I was sat with him, have a talk with him, and again he was saying no. He was quite rigid with the decision. But by the time consistency brings an effort, and an effort was going on, and somehow he got okay, I'm done listening to your stuff. Okay, you can go now. And then I get a final yes from him. It took me 1 year to convince him. My whole third year got convincing I have to go. And then I started working on it. But then there comes a big step, which was so master require a good percentage. And initially I was not good at studies. So I actually worked hard, studied a lot in my semesters and stuff. And till my fourth year, I got a good percentage and finally got one selection. That is the only reason I came to Lakehead. I applied to 9 universities, 9 total universities, and only got Lakehead. That was the only university. I have no choice. I have to come to Canada. I can't wait for another year. If my father changes his mind or something, I just want to just take risk and everything. So that was the reason I came to only Lakehead. Lakehead was my last choice. I was not even ready to apply Lakehead. That was the thing. Because it's not a good school. So basically what happened is that you have to average out the things. Because my whole life goes in averaging out. Either you can do the undergrad from a lower level school and did the master from a high level school, you average out, you can reach to some level. But either if you do school also undergrad from low level, then again master also from low level, you have a chances low below the average that you will get succeed or something like that. That was my belief. That actually got changed though. But But yeah, I have to. But that was this, getting succeed and getting like a successful life and everything was way above like selecting the schools. So I was like, just whatever it is, I'll directly just go to the school and it's like that Lakehead. I just want to move. That's the thing. Just away and this year has to be done. So
Sounds good.
yeah.
So
So this.
there's a lot of information there. Before we kind of go too much further, so one thing that I want to, or a couple things that I want to chat about is, I mean, the dance side. So I mean, that's not a stereotypical computer science thing, right? So computer scientists are supposed to be shy and introverted and things like that. You're not supposed to be on stage doing that. So talk to me a little bit about that. Like, were you always like outgoing and like you were always doing that? So you weren't the normal computer scientist. Is that fair? Or?
I told you, like, I'm always the curious person. Like, if anything gives me like a dopamine, I'll just go adrenaline rush. I'll just start pursuing it. Like, if anything puts me on fire, I have to do, like, it basically makes me thinking, should I do it, should I not? If I do it, is there like a bringing thrill to it, I'll do it. That's how I basically approach every decision that I do. So I get into a dance just because I see, if you get on the stage, you get so much of attention, you get people, and you can actually, engage with, and then you get some popular. Because what will you expect a kid like, let's say, like 20 years of age, and he's suddenly getting a lot of attention, people approaching him. You were the guy on the stage, you're killing it there, and that was the comment I was listening, and I'm like, okay, let's do it. Because the first time that I was put on the stage was like forcefully. Because my friends were doing it and they were like, you should do this too. Either you're part of the group of doing this or you're not. And I'm like, I have to be part of group. I have to. Although I was quite active in a co-curricular activities, but everything went quite introverting kind of thing. Like you having a debate kind of session happening between like 4 kids, and you having the poem recitation happening in like 2-3 people. That's what I used to do at school, but not that much outgoing.
Right.
But then I was like, okay, let's do it. And then I go to my college, and then I actually put in front of so many people by my friends. I was like, okay, this is something that's cool. I was getting forced, but when the first time it was so many people there, I'm like, okay, everyone is cheering up, chug me. I'm like, okay, this is something cool that we can, So I was like that. So put the thrill to it, I'll do it. So that was the reason I actually started doing this dance thing. But the dance requires a lot of effort, to be honest. Like you need to have a stamina, you have a practice every day and everything. I can't commit to that. What I lose most is that consistency. Like I started doing it, I like it, do it for like several days, like a sprint kind of thing, I never did the thing like a marathon. I like more of a impulsively and sprinting it up. I do it and I liked it, and then there comes a practice sessions for the comps, but I didn't do it. And I slightly go lower. I was in the circuit, in the dance circuit, but I didn't pursue that much. And then the only goal was like, at that time the goal shifted, like, okay, dance is done, it's going good, it's a hobby and everything, move to Canada. That's the thing. Concentrate on that. So that's how I made that decision. Is it going? But I have to do that Canada thing too.
Cool. What I took from that is even though you were involved in a whole bunch of like introverted activities, there was always kind of this, I guess, attention seeking a little bit, where you liked a little bit of that. But once you had that, then kind of like, I did it, and I wasn't super passionate about it. So let me move to Canada. And then the other part that I want to bring up is a little bit, if you watch the movie like Inception. It seemed like that for your dad, where you put in the screen and like, think about this and whatever, and then over time, and we might get into it in a future episode, but the persistence where it takes you a whole year to do that, so that might be a conversation on its own. But I loved how you kind of broke down where you didn't really choose a school, it was kind of chosen for you. But I'd love if you talked a little bit about kind of your mindset before you went in. So you get accepted to one school, right? It's not the greatest school or whatever, but what was your approach and mindset to making the most of that experience, like as you were moving to Canada?
So at that time, every one of my friends is actually like in my class. They were like the topper guys who tops the every exam and everything. They were also applying, and they got the big schools of Canada like Waterloo, and then there's University of Alberta and everything. And I was the only one who's Actually, they were in the point of getting their choices, but I was having no choices. That's the only thing that I have. So that hits me hard. I'm like, I get directly into FOMO, like this guy is gonna be getting good level schools, good colleges, and they have a good life, man. What about me? I'm just going to the school which no one even knows. I have to tell them that there is a city called Thunder Bay, and then there is a college called university called Lakehead University, and now I was like a totally different level. I was basically feel like bad, but that bad energy was not that much because that basically that university was helping me to move to Canada. No, like there's the helping as a rope to get pull in to me into Canada and different experience. So that shift my mindset to like a hustler mindset, to be honest. Then there's like okay, whatever happens. Now this is the only thing. Okay, I'll rather pursue it and make the most out of it. I have to get most out of it, and I'll rather see what the industry have in Canada about this computer science. I'll start making connect. I'll start searching about it. Like, okay, what can I do most in Canada? So I know I have this Google Keep notes. I still have that. I don't know where it is saved though, but in which I actually made a list. Okay, so 1 month is done. So this is what I have to do. Like, the initial thing, like bank setup and whatever the basically regular stuff, like bank setup, course registration, everything. Now, just after the second month, what I have to do, right? About the computer science stuff, about this, like basically my whole mindset was changed. Okay, less done with the school and start looking for the job or the getting into tech industry. At that time, it was more shifted to a mindset of a computer science job. Either I like it or not, I have no option. I have to do it because I'm not passing from a good school. That's the thing. So that was the mindset I get into Canada.
Sounds good. So you're in Canada and you start your master's. How was it? Was it like more difficult from an academic perspective, or just maybe as the culture shock or whatever? What was the university experience like?
That's the best thing I would like to talk about because it's so different. I'm coming from India, and in India, education system is totally different from the Canadian education system. There's like a big difference. In India, all the 100% marks are given to like last year exams, but in Canada, it is actually divided like assignments. Then there is midterms, then there is a final terms and everything. The whole 100% actually divided, and I was like, okay, this is something cool. I can just have to score like in 2 assignments, I'll be good with the passing thing, right? And also I came to know in undergrad we have like 7-8 subjects, right? But here in my master's there are only 3 subjects. I'm like, that's totally simple. I just have 3 subjects. It's not gonna take that much of time, and I will be good with it. So I basically take it like lighter, the master's thing. But then I realized like the things are different because the assignments are quite related to more of a research kind of thing. You have to study a lot of research papers. You have to go to classes. Then you have to research it yourself. You have to integrate like 2-3 research papers and make a solution out from all reading that. And it was quite difficult. And the second thing that difficult is the fees. The international student fees actually the 3 times the domestic student fees in Canada. And it was sort of like, I remember it was like $21,000 that I have to pay in a year for the fees. And the third problem is that obviously I'm basically by God's grace, my father can easily support me in that, but I really don't want to, get the support from him. Although he has paid like first year of fees, but I don't want him to pay the second year for fees of mine. I want to get it from myself. So obviously I have to look for the part-time jobs. But even before that, a part-time job, when I landed, the Thunder Bay is quite a cool city. I mean, there are less people, less crowded, and I feel like a big culture shock because I'm coming from Delhi. Delhi is like a Toronto of India, right? There's so many people, so many transits, so many people on the roads and everything, hustle bustle going on there. But suddenly I move into like a village kind of city, like Thunder Bay, and from Delhi, I'm from a Delhi guy to a Thunder Bay. It's like a totally different, like suddenly I see no people around myself, and everyone is just more of like, reserved into themselves and everything. So that was a big problem from initially settling in was a problem. And the main problem is I don't know any one of them. Like I don't know even a single person in Thunder Bay, and suddenly I have to look for my accommodation as well because there was no accommodation set up from the university too, initial time. Right? So they only were helping, like you have to tell your destination and they will help you to come from airport pickup to the place that you have to go, and the place that you have to go, you have to select by yourself. You don't have the choice for that. Although they were charging high fees for the accommodation in the university, but I don't want to pay them too, right? Because it's already way too much for me for paying the 1 year fees and everything. So I'm like, okay, I'll look for the house. Although the hustle mode was already on even before coming to Canada. So that 1 week thing, I came to know about one guy who was actually my roommate, now my good friend. He's working for a big tech company right now. So that friend, me and him, start looking for a house, job, and start basically settling in. And we take 1 week and we settled in. But then the initial thing that, and this one I end up saying that, is that the Thunder Bay, which I was thinking like it's quite welcoming for the people, but it wasn't, because it's actually, there's some areas which are kind of like a red area kind of thing, in which you shouldn't be going and everything. And I actually stayed for a week there, and I didn't even know that. It's like, okay, something is not a safer place. You can, because Thunder Bay in 2019 were ranked as the most deadliest city in Canada, because of, yeah, it's because a lot of death happened, murders happened there, and every stuff. So that was the initial time when I settled in Thunder Bay.
Wow, that doesn't sound like the best of experience, but obviously you were able to kind of overcome it and make the most of it. And I'd love if you share a little bit of your experience on, you went through an entrepreneurial journey and went through like Border Giant, then you did some volunteer work, and then you ultimately started a YouTube channel. So I don't know what the sequence of events with that, but if you can talk a little bit about those outside of school stuff, that'd be great.
For sure. So when I came to Lakehead, it took me 1 semester to settle in, basically. Like, okay, I'm doing job. I actually got the first part-time job as a chef. I was working for this, there's a restaurant called Wacky's. So I started as a line cook there, and I worked for like 6-7 months. And then it took like 1 semester, right? I have to manage my money and stuff. That was like, I'm actually juggling around a lot of things, because I have to save up for my money for my master's fees and everything. I have to get this job going, then this assignment work. There were a lot of things that are going on. And that time we have the in-class, basically the classes lecturing, the in-class thing, because the COVID didn't hit till now. And then after like 6 months, COVID hits, everything goes shut down. My job was gone. I started getting the EIs, basically that the Canadian program, CERB thing, basically CERB thing. And I started getting money from that. That was really helpful to the Canadian government for the student like us too. And suddenly I was all bored out because nothing happening. Because university said like it will take 1 month to get a transition into the Zoom thing and everything. So we had just a 1 month free, so I was just totally free. What should I do, right? And then I realized, okay, this is something I can do now, because I already know how 1 semester was done already, so I already know like how to juggle around with assignment and stuff. The payment issue is not a big problem. The CERB was coming in, right? Everything is shut down. So I was like, okay, let's start something different. Then I stumble upon my things and I see, oh, YouTube is a cool thing. I can in fact do YouTube, because I'm a big user of YouTube, either for anything. I actually go around only 2 places, either a Google search or either a YouTube search. That's the 2 things I go around. And I use most of Google, YouTube. I'm like, okay, let's start it. And it may be something cool. Again, that attention thing kicks in. Like, oh, something. That's the thing. Because before coming to Thunder Bay, no one has put any content about Thunder Bay. No one even heard of it. That was the problem. Because when I was researching about it, like, why the Thunder Bay is not, only 2-3 videos coming up. In fact, now if you search Thunder Bay, you will see my videos pop up there. But only 3, before that, only 3 videos was coming. Like, who are the people, why it's called a deadliest city. It's like Lakehead University stuff. That's all. But other than that, there was nothing else. I was like, this is what I don't want, people to know about Thunder Bay. Because during that Thunder Bay time, like first semester, I came around a lot of people. I know a lot of from different communities. The Thunder Bay is not that bad too, right? I want to share that picture of Thunder Bay with all around the world. So I was like, okay, let's do that. I start posting it about. So I met a lot of my friends. They're basically from the Lakehead University Student Union. So I make friends with them. They're from one is actually from India, one is from Pakistan, and there is one guy who's actually from Korea too. So I get like different people, and I met them. They go on hiking every weekend. I start going hiking and I start making YouTube vlogs, so that people should know what Thunder Bay is actually about. And I'm trust me, when I'm saying this, Thunder Bay has the bestest natural beauty that you can have in summers. Trust me, just go there. There's a famous called Sleeping Giant Provincial Park, which is a sleeping giant, basically a big 2,000 feet hiking stuff. You just have to hike it, and you have the bestest view you can. So yeah, just I started hiking, started posting about YouTube, and I came to know people don't know about how the Thunder Bay is, how the Lakehead University is, because in Thunder Bay there's only two things. There's one college called Confederation College, and there's one university called Lakehead University. So I started posting about them. That is how I started my YouTube channel, just to help the students who don't know about Thunder Bay. They should know is not that Thunder Bay is not that bad. Although the ranking of the university and college is low, but it's not still that bad. And I did that, and it was getting good, so I able to juggle it up. And then I came up with then the CRB get closed because the people start coming in, the things are started moving a bit, like slowly, but I lost my job at Wackies. And I started applying for my job called come up on the LinkedIn, which is Border Giant. It was a small startup. It was basically come help you to get the stuff from US to Canada or Canada to US. It was started as for business users so that you can actually have a big bulk of imports from two different countries because things are cheaper in US. But because of the border being closed, you are not able to get the stuff from themselves. So you have to go through us. We have the licensing and stuff. So I basically made a workaround tool for that before they have actually software set up. So I made the whole tool it's like a basic form integrations and using basic coding and Python scripts. You get the stuff in, get the information, throw it out, and yeah, that's. I was basically, you could say, the guy who do everything, and he knows coding. That's how I came. I was like a third guy in the company when I joined in. So yeah, that was the Border Giant experience. I just pitched myself like this is the thing we can do this way, and he likes it. He interviews, and yeah, we carried on. We hit it off from there. The owner, they're still doing good though, but yeah, things are good now.
Sounds good. And then ultimately you were able to use that to land your current job and
Oh,
I love as well.
before that, there's one more job. So,
Okay.
so what happened is that I was pursuing this Border Giant. I was also pursuing my YouTube channel and stuff. And then comes a time when my whole master's going to be done. The last semester left, and I came to know. I started seeing people LinkedIn. I see your LinkedIn too. I was following you for quite a while, in which is that you have to post. Start posting like how to get the first job, how to get the job just after school. So I came to know you have a good resume, and then you have a good LinkedIn, then you have a good whatever you put in, like whatever the info, the more basically you have to explain as much as you can about your tech career in your LinkedIn in the field you want the job. So thanks to you, and there's some different influencers I talk and like how we can do that. And then I realized I have to work hard. I have to get my LinkedIn on point, get my resume on point, have my own portfolio on point, and I start getting that. So while managing that, it was a lot of juggling around because my last year project was going on. So I was like, okay, so I have to, put a break on something. So I put a break on this YouTube thing. I put a break on that for some time, and then my masters, I completed the courses requirement. I did last time, only the project was left, so I was juggling on this the project, my studies, and this my Border Giant work. And I then told my manager about this. I'll be looking for the job just because I'm gonna be moving out of the city, because in Thunder Bay city is good. I love people there, but you easily get bored and don't get that much career opportunities. Although I tried, I also get a call from one of the co-op opportunity too, but I got failed, and they basically revoked the whole position out from it. So that's what had happened, and I was like, okay, I have to move out from the city because I have to see my career growing and everything, because I was graduating from the university. And again, I don't work if I don't have the goals set. So I started YouTube. I push it to the level I will make it monetized. That was the initial goal. Like I have to just get it monetized. I'll post the stuff. I'll keep on doing that. Doesn't matter how much what comes in the way, but I'll still do it to the monetized level. And same thing. I put the goal to my this job hunting thing. I have to get the job before I am graduating. That was like a goal set up like this in my mind. Okay, this is the thing I need to approach on. So start doing that. I start researching about the LinkedIn, like okay, so what to do for that. So I came to know you have a good portfolio. I start putting up the portfolio, put the whatever my projects on. I made the so it happened like this: Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, I work at Border Giant. Thursday, Friday, Saturday, I make a project. Sunday, I make a huge post about it on the LinkedIn. And I repeat for like 3 times in a month, basically 4 times I did this. And I have like 3 projects on. If you see on my LinkedIn, you'll see like the projects is there still, right? And they're all live projects. Basically, you can get it access from anywhere in the world. And it is more aligned to my computer science and my financial stuff that I basically know, like stock market and something like that. So I did that 4 times in a month. I mean, 1 time every week I do that. So I have my 4 projects are up on the LinkedIn, make the profile, and start reaching out to the people who are working in the same industry. That's what I did. And again, following a lot of influencers on the LinkedIn, you and everyone, and getting the information basically how to set the things up, how to get this job, and also started studying about interviews, like how we get the interviews. And you won't believe, just after like before like 3 weeks, I get stressed. Like, okay, what happening? It's just 3 weeks left of graduating, and I don't have a job offer in my hand. So when the goal kicks in the nearby time, the deadlines are approaching in your mindset. Although it's imaginative, because most of the people doesn't even think about that. But I was like quite harsh on myself. Like I have to do it. I have to do it. I stopped talking to my family back in India. I'm like, because every time they ask me one question, it's like, what about your job? What's happening? You studying or not? I'm like, I'll tell you when the job is done, but don't talk to me. I'll not talk to you about it. Just and I'll tell you. And suddenly, I don't know what miracle happened or something. I got the 4 job offers.
Wow.
Just like before like 2 weeks of the graduating, I got 4 job offers, out of which I selected Scotia Bank as a software engineer. And I got this job, and then again, I have my own job now. I will be moving to Toronto soon, so I can. This is a time. If things I have to put on the gear mode before it get break up. So I started working on the YouTube and start posting my videos there.
Sounds good. And we'll get into the story maybe in a future episode about how you land your current job and future ambitions. But I'd love if you could share like 1 or 2 pieces of Siwike, the stuff I wish I knew earlier for a young Jagmeet, maybe in your master's, maybe in your high school, even before that. Like, what is 1 or 2 pieces of advice that you'd give to young Jagmeet?
I would say that I failed the things. Stay curious about the things. Always things like why you're doing it, because I stopped asking just before when I was starting. Although I started now, but I wish I would have said the same, like why. The first thing, and second thing is country doesn't describe the place you are at. It basically the people around you describes it. So instead of moving away from the places, start approaching to the people instead of to the country. Like start pursuing how you can have a better community around you. Doesn't matter it's in your home country, in your homes, in your street, in your home, like in your different countries or like all different world. Just try to have a good community around you, which makes you provoke the things that you're not comfortable doing that, because the growth happens in the non-comfort zone. That's what I believe in.
That's amazing. What I took from that last one is that expression, you are the average of the 5 people you spend the most time
like
with.
that.
So it's kind of, maybe the place will have an influence, but it's more the actual people that you get, which I think is great. So thanks so much, Jagmeet, for sharing your story, and I'm hopefully we'll be able to continue the conversation on other topics. But where can folks find you, or what are some future aspirations that you have upcoming?
I'm thinking of going back to start YouTube again, because I got become lazy. I'll just talk about in the next episode if you allow us. So I'm gonna be doing this YouTube, and I'll just the YouTube thing. I'm gonna focus on that. Start writing and reading, scripting, and everything. That's what I'm gonna do.
Sounds good, and we'll put your contact information on
For
the
sure.
show notes. And
On my YouTube channel.
Thank-
Yes, thank you.
For sure. Thanks so much for joining, and hopefully we'll have you back for a future episode.
For sure, definitely. I'll definitely would love to come and discuss about the things. And thanks for coming in your channel. And this is Jagmeet Singh.
Sounds good. Take care. Thanks, Jagmeet.
Thank you. Bye.
Thanks for joining us on the Siwike Stuff I Wish I Knew Earlier, the podcast. If you like the podcast, please subscribe on iTunes, Stitcher, or wherever you found this podcast. And if you can give us a review, that would be very appreciated. Feel free to contact me on LinkedIn at Lukidanu, Lukidanu, and the same on most social media platforms. And I look forward to hearing from you. Thanks. Bye.